Okay, we're live. Get your pens and paper, and we're going to go ahead and start the countdown. Okay, you guys, I am so excited about this training. I haven't done this training in a really long time, but I know that we're getting ready for the New Year's and everybody's trying to figure out how can I get organized. I have a wonderful secret. So if you guys don't know, my name is Nikisha Bond. Do I have my name up there? Yeah, there it is. My name is Nikisha Bond, and my background is in Lean Six Sigma, which is just a problem-solving discipline. And one of the foundations of the problem-solving discipline is 5S. And so I'm going to do that whole training for you today. It might take a while, but I talk really fast, so we might get through it really quick. But I'm really, really excited to share this with you because honestly, this is something that is used in manufacturing, but it can be used anywhere. You can really kind of morph it and turn it into anything that you want. So we're going to go through the history of it. We're going to go through what the 5S's are, and we're going to talk about how you can implement those into your life so that you can be successful. So with that, let's go ahead and get this party started. So what is 5S? It is a systematic approach to workplace organization. It improves safety, it decreases waste, it improves quality, provides an environment where there's continuous improvement. It makes abnormalities immediately visible. So there's lots of words on these slides, so you'll see me just kind of go through it. I just want to give you an idea that it's really just a way of getting yourself organized so that you can make sure that when you go to a place, everything's where it's supposed to be and you can access it right away. So the origins of 5S is that it started back in the shipbuilders and Venetian time where they kind of started doing those assembly lines. And then the Ford Manufacturing Company, they did the assembly lines. But when Toyota went out there, they were like, boy, you guys got all this waste and all this stuff going on. And so they also looked at the Piggly Wiggly and they liked their just-in-time inventory. So what they did was developed a whole process of how you continuously improve upon a process. You're always taking the waste out of a process and you're making it more and more efficient. And so it's more than just housekeeping because it's really a process. And so this is really taught to, like I said, employees in manufacturing companies. So that's kind of the language that you're going to see in the slides. And those are a lot of the examples. But I want you to think about the ways that you can use this in your everyday life, because I use not even just the just really the methodology of how you get things cleaned up, how you get things organized. So it's about organizing your workplace, not just tidying up. You don't want to just come and clean up. You want to have a system so that you have everything has a place and everything's in its place, right? And there are no world-class companies that are not using some type of a 5S model in their company. And so one of the things is that it gets rid of waste. So we're going to go through what waste is. And then I can't really see some of these. Sorry, because my screen is all small. Let me see if I can make it bigger. Look at me go. Okay. So if you think of Timwood down at the bottom, you have transport, inventory, motion, waiting. What is that? Over-processing, overproducing, and defects. So those are all the different areas of waste that you can have. And so when you're thinking about it, let's see if I have a better slide. I don't really have very good slides that talk about the waste, but for your guys, it's not going to matter because as we go through this, it'll make a lot more sense. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the things that you guys don't really need to know. But the benefits of 5S is you can have a high impact with little or no cost. It improves your efficiencies and it improves your performance. It makes it so that you don't have any clutters, you don't have any delays. It really just makes you more efficient at your workplace. I'm going to kind of move through some of these because some of these are redundant. I'm going to actually go through and get all the way over to the 5 steps. Let's go there. All right. So the first step is SIRI. So all the S's have a name. So it's sort, set in order, shine, standardize, sustain. They also have a Japanese or some type of Asian word. Don't quote me. I'm not sure. Like I said, I haven't done this training in a long time, but they also have another word. So first we're going to start off with sort. So the aim is to remove everything but what's actually needed in the workplace. So you only want things that are needed in your workplace. So, you know, when we did this at my company, we had a manufacturing company. We had everything, just take all the stuff off, all the papers off your desk, all the little knickknacks, all the little doodads, all the pictures. everything that's non-essential to your workplace. You want to take everything out because you want to see what you're working with. And a lot of people have a lot of stuff on their workplace and they don't realize that it's causing them a lot of stress and anxiety because they don't really need all those things there. So the first thing is you're going to go through and take all of the clutter. Why do you want to get rid of the clutter? It frees up space. It removes obstacles. It stops people from adding and hoarding. It improves safety. It gives you control over your area. It has orderliness. It gives you a process. So you just don't want a lot of clutter, because I know me, when I go into a room and there's a lot of clutter, it causes me a lot of anxiety. I don't know about you, but I get like really, really anxious when there's rooms with a lot of clutter. And so you want to go through the whole process and you want to get through of everything. So one, you want to get rid of trash. That's the first thing. Get rid of all the trash in your area. All the scrap should be put into the trash. And then you want to do red tags. So things that you have that you don't want to get rid of, but they need to go somewhere not in this area. And then you're going to put a red tag on those. And that just means that we're going to put those in an area and we're going to figure out what we're going to do with those later, but they don't belong in this particular workspace that we're cleaning up right now. And so, in manufacturing, you would actually make a red tag and you would actually have an area that was a red tag area. But like if you're just trying to organize your office, really just put something aside, maybe get a box and just say, here's all the stuff that I know that I need to keep, but it doesn't need to be in my workspace. That can be considered a red tag area. So what's next? Now you want to set things in order. So that's the excess. So everything, a place for everything and everything in its place. Everything on your desk needs to be arranged, right? You need to make sure that everything that you're using frequently is closer to you. The things that you don't need are further away from you. That way that when you're sitting down at your workspace, everything that you need is right here at a glance, right? And that goes for any space that you're working at. Whatever the function is of that space, you need to make sure that you have everything where it needs to be. You want to make sure that you have things that are in storage. You want heavy things low, you want light items high. You want to begin the process of standardizing the workplace. That's most important. So setting an order is not just about labeling everything on the shelf. It's finding out what's the best location for everything. So like for me right now on my desk, I have like all of my pens over here because I use them all the time. And then I have like stuff like my stapler right here. I use it frequently, but I don't like it on my desk. So I use it right here in my drawer so I can grab it right away. So everything that I need is within, hold on, let me see. Yeah, look at me moving it. Everything that I need is within some area that I can grab it, right within I have all my papers up here that I need that are important. You guys can't really see, and I'm not going to show you because it's not as organized as it needs to be. No judgment. This is always a work in process. And this is a great time to do it because you're getting ready for the new year. So you want to make sure that you have everything where you want it to be and that you don't have a whole bunch of stuff that you don't need around. So here are some examples of setting things in order. So you see how everything is in its own box. Everything is labeled. This one down here on the bottom, I don't know if you can see it. It's called a shadow board. I love a good shadow board. What a shadow board does is that you'll have a board that's sitting up there, and on that board is like an outline of the item that needs to be there. So when that item is taken, you can immediately see that there's something missing. So imagine that you have like a cleaning supply closet and you have a broom, you have a mop, and you have a dustpan. If somebody comes and takes your dustpan, you're going to notice immediately that that dustpan is gone because there's going to be a shadow that's left there where the dustpan is supposed to be. And so when you're setting things in order, it's really good to get things really organized, put them all in their own space, give them their own organizing bin. You're going to label those bins. And that really is going to help you to be more organized as you're kind of cleaning things up and getting your space to the place where it needs to be. So like I said, you're putting it for economy of movement. You want solutions to be low cost or no cost. You don't want to spend a lot of money on this. So if you don't have bins, you don't necessarily need to make bins. Maybe you just need to organize them. And then later on, if you need bins, if it makes the place stay more standardized, then you can get those. So like, things like this, like little... Let's see, mine is all messy, but like little organizing trays or little organizing tools like this, things like this help to put everything in a place so that you're not having pens everywhere. You can't find your paper clips. You can't find your scissors. You can't find anything. And which sometimes that people don't realize is that searching for like your pens, your paper clips, your Post-its, your envelopes or whatever, and not having things that you use all the time, right, and readily available for you, it costs you time and money. So let's say that it takes, an extra 5 minutes for you to get ready every day. Okay, well, 5 minutes for one day is not that big of a deal. But if you do 5 minutes times 5 days times 52 weeks times however many years, you can see how much time that you're wasting. And that's just trying to get ready and organized in the morning. So that's really what the purpose is it's really making everything a lot easier for you to access, for you to navigate, for you to gain, for you to reach when you need it. Do you have too many items? Identify jobs as runners, repeaters, or strangers based on production volumes. So runners, stored as close to possible as to the work area as they're required most often. Repeaters, they're stored after the runners, and strangers can be stored in an area that's, if you need it, it's for space. So for example, like I said, my pens are right here because I use them the most often. My stapler's over here because I don't use it as often. And then I have things like I have paper that's like way over there that I got to go get. And so that's okay because I don't use that very often. And so that's kind of what you're trying to do, is just making sure that you know what you need and you have what you need available to you. Okay, let's see. What's next? So after that, the next thing is to shine it up. So that's the number 3S, is shine. So it's not just cleaning. You know, you want to make everything neat and clean, but you want to bring everything as back to new as possible. That's what you're trying to do. And the benefits of cleaning and having like a back to new as possible is it makes defects a lot easier to detect. You know, if your area is dirty and somebody spills something, you might not even spill it. You might not even see it because there's so much mess everywhere. But if your area is completely clean and something is wrong, you're going to immediately notice that. And it creates a better working environment. It aids in efficiency and reduce accidents. And it helps you to standardize things, because when everything is clean and you know exactly where everything is and you're not looking at a bunch of dirty items around, because when you have dirty items around, you don't know, are they dirty because they need to be cleaned? Are they dirty because they're old? Are they dirty because they need to be replaced? Or are they dirty because we don't even need them anymore? So that's the reason why after you've gotten everything, you've gotten rid of everything, right? You've standardized where you want everything. And now you're going through and you're cleaning every single space. So the initial clean down is to correct and clean for problems. Look for dirt. You want to really make sure that all of your items are actually in good working condition. Like for example, when I cleaned my printer and I did like a print test, I realized that my printer actually needs to be cleaned. So I cleaned it, and then it actually needs to be replaced because now it's no longer working. And so when you're doing these total cleans, like if I had a process to where I was doing the print all the time, I probably would have noticed that my printer had gotten bad versus I actually needed to print something that was really important. And then when I printed it, it looked like crap because my printer had gone down, but I didn't have a process where I was always cleaning it to understand that maybe the fact that I wasn't always cleaning it was the reason why it went down, or maybe it was the fact that it's just old and it needs to be replaced. But if you had a normal cleaning schedule, or when you do this first process, now you're going to see what items do you need to replace, what items do you need to get rid of, and then having this cleaning schedule, like my printer, maybe it would have stayed if I had been on a better cleaning schedule, right? Maybe, who knows? Who, what, and where, and how. So as you're cleaning, this is going to be an ongoing process. So you want to make sure that you really identify who's going to be doing it, which is probably you, how often you're going to be doing it, and what tools are you going to need in order to clean. And you want to make sure you have all of those things available to you. So, and I also want to show you this because this is a better picture of the shadow board that I was telling you about. So you can see immediately if you were to remove any of these dust plans, you would know that it was missing. So if you work in any type of a business where you have a lot of tools, you have a lot of equipment, you have a lot of things that often get lost, a shadow board is going to be really, really powerful for you to be able to look and see immediately if you're missing something. So what's next? So once you have sorted, so we've gotten rid of everything, we've set everything in order, we've cleaned everything up, now we are going to standardize. That's the fourth step, standardize. So why do we standardize? Because we want to make 5S a routine. It's not enough to just clean up in the beginning of the year and then you're like dirty by June. You want to clean it up and never have to really clean it again because it just stays clean. That's what having a standards is about, right? Like it's people who make up their bed every day, right? If you get into the habit of making up your bed every day, it just becomes a standard, right? You don't ever go into a room with a dirty bed because it's the standard to always make it. You go into the room, if the bed is not made, you'd be like, oh my gosh, something is clearly wrong because the standard is that the bed is made. And so that's how you want to treat your room. And a lot of times the reason why people get so cluttered and so overwhelmed is because they don't do it frequently enough. So it's always a chore and it becomes this huge, big thing that you have to do instead of just something that you like at the end of the day, you're cleaning a little bit, and maybe cleaning up at 5 minutes every day will avoid having to spend hours or days cleaning up once or twice a year. So that's something really important when you're thinking about the standardization. You don't want to fall back into your own way. You want to make sure that you have procedures and that you're building in these improvements. So how do you standardize? So you document the standard ways of working, right? You have a standard operating procedure and you standardize by labeling, you create signage, flows, and you have 5S audits, which means you're going back as a leader, you're going back and looking at it. So this is really important, like if you're bringing on a team. And I'll probably break this out maybe into another video because a lot of times what leaders find a challenge in is that when they're trying to scale their business, they don't have any way to hold their employees accountable because there was no process. There was no way that they could just go in and be like, that's not working, or that's wrong. They didn't have something that they could just look at that people are constantly filling in every single day so that you can be like, oh, you didn't fill this in. That would already be a red flag. Or they filled it in and now you see what the red flag is. So that's why standardization is so important. So what you want to do, standard work, is document the current agreed way of doing the process. Use pictures, cameras. You want to take a picture of what it's supposed to look like. So if you have an office or you have an area and it's supposed to look a certain way, take a picture of that. And once you take that picture, then people will know, okay, well, this is exactly what it's supposed to look like. So now when anybody comes into that workspace, they can be like, you know what? That's exactly what it's supposed to look like. I know because I can see a picture right there. So everything should be very visible, very obvious. Nothing should be in guesswork. If someone comes and sits down at your desk, they should be able to do your work without you even being there. They should be like, oh, if I'm not here, grab this book. They would grab a standard operating procedure. They would look through. Your desk would be labeled. It would be organized. They would go in the drawers. They would be able to find something. If they couldn't find something, they'd go back to the standard operating procedure, which would tell them where it was. If they were running low on inventory, they would have some type of a Kanban trigger. So all of these things help you to standardize your workspace. So it can get really, really deep if you really want to go there with it. And then the audits. These are really, really important. So you capture the current state and then you have a simple audit sheet. So what are you going to be going back? So what those things that are being measured cannot pass or fail for anything ambiguous. So it should be no shades of gray. It should be like, this is good and this is bad. That way everybody knows exactly what it's supposed to look like. So you have a picture. This is the picture of what it looks like when it's good. You have a shadow board. This is where the item goes back when you're done. And these are the things that people will make sure that they're doing it all the time. And then when you're coming back and you're auditing it, now somebody knows that somebody's going to be looking and making sure that they put it back. And they're going to have questions because you were the last person who was in this space and you didn't return it or you didn't do the last audit. You can have an audit that says at the end of the day, you need to return all of these items back. You need to check this. You need to do this. You need to do that. And when you tell people that, and then you have a way that you're checking back up on them, that's how you ensure that these processes get completed. So I think as leaders, sometimes we're kind of jumping the gun. We throw somebody in there and we're hoping that they're going to be responsible. And that's great, right? We would love to have somebody who was completely responsible for whatever they were supposed to do. But usually those people turn into leaders. So you're usually left with someone who's saying, tell me what to do and I'll do that. And so that's why you want to have an auditing process. So somebody knows, hey, I'm coming back and I'm looking at this. So the hardest step is the 5S, is to maintain, is to sustain the gain. So that's the hardest place. It's having a custom, a practice, a consensus. Work towards a shared set of values regarding clearing, organizing, and cleaning. So basically, let's say that you're a neat freak, right? And you want to get everybody on your page. Part of that is, once we have gotten rid of everything and we've set everything in order, we've cleaned everything up and we said, this is the standard. Your job is going to be sustaining it, having those audits, and it will allow you to go from what's on the left to what's on the right. And you don't want to slip back. So you have to have those audits that you're going through. So really everything is going to go for what the leader does. And that's usually how it is in life, right? Team reflects leadership. So as you're a leader who's really on it, you notice that people who have those type of houses and those type of standards, you go to their house and that's exactly how it looks. And so those are the things that you want to do. So how do you sustain the gains? Like I said, you want to maintain audits, maintain cleaning, and walk the walk. Management must lead by example. Nobody is going to do what you're telling them. They're going to do what you're doing. Hold on, let me get bigger. Nobody is going to do what you're telling them. They're going to do what you're doing. So it is important for you as a leader. None of this will work in your house, in your family, in your job, in your life. If you as the leader who is listening to this, because obviously you wanted the information, so you're the leader. If you're the leader who's listening to this, you have to be the one who's setting the example for your team and they will follow what you do. Visual management. When you have that visual management system, when you have that workflow system, when you can walk in and be like, that's not supposed to be there. There's missing that. That's missing over there. That looks dirty. this cleaning sheet hasn't been done. As a manager, you can walk in and within 1 minute, you can tell whether or not that space has been maintained. And that's exactly what you want. So everything needs to be visual. Everything needs to be out in the open. Everybody needs to be aware and have a consensus and a buy-in to this is how we're going to do it. And then you also want to show people what 5S has achieved. This is really more for manufacturing. You probably won't have a board like this unless you're someone like me, but for the most part, you're not going to have a board. But if you want to show people what it looked like before and what it looks like now, that always lets people say, wow, look at how far we come. It makes people feel proud. So a scoreboard might be good. But then another thing that you want to do is you want to have a continuous improvement team. So you want to empower your team, whoever's responsible for that space, to constantly challenge to update it. And you want to go in every single day and see how you can make things better, see how you can get rid of waste, how you can make it a little bit faster, because a lot of people underestimate little wins. A lot of times we really underestimate how saving a minute here, 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 a minute here equals an hour. You know what I'm saying? We can continue to do that and chip away. And something that used to take us 5 days can now be taken down to 3 days because we cleaned up our environment. We got faster running computers. We kept fixing the issue so much so that we were easily able to identify when something did not fit the process. And that's really what lean will give you. It'll get you to a place where something out of the ordinary, something that can be improved, is so visually available to you that you're just like, yeah, that's what we need to do. So that's what the continuous improvement for us, continuous improvement team will do. And 5S overall, it's going to improve safety. It's going to give you a structured approach. It's going to be applicable for both the manager and the team, because it's going to make everybody be responsible. It improves your productivity, your quality. It makes you intolerant to waste and disorganization. It improves morale and teamwork because now everybody's working together. We all have a standard. You don't have somebody who's allowed to have some area that looks absolutely crazy and the rest of us have to be subject to that. So what, now what? So the main thing that you want to do is you want to provide training for your teams. You want to make sure that you're implementing and by example. You want to set up a whole process. So like you're going to take before pictures and then you're going to have a day where you go, so hold on, let me zoom back out. So if I was going to give you a next step on how to implement this into your own life, the first thing that you're going to want to do is get your team together. Who is it on the team? Tell them why this is so important. You can have them watch this video. I know we breezed through the front, but basically it's getting an organization process. And now if you're the person who is unorganized, you can say, this is to help me get organized. I would appreciate you guys helping me. If this is to get the team organized, to say, this is to help get us organized. And I would really appreciate you guys getting on board because this is going to make you more efficient. So whatever your approach is, you want to get buy-in from whoever the team is. And then the first thing you want to do is go and clean. And then you want to go and set it in order. And then you want to shine it up. I mean, you want to sort, get rid of everything. You want to set it in order. You want to shine it up. You want to sustain the gains. And then what I would also do is that when you have these audits, figure out some type of a reward system, right? Something that when we sustain these gains, when we reach this goal, we're going to celebrate and do this. People love a good celebration. And sometimes I think we just don't celebrate enough in life. So I definitely think that if you are interested in learning more about this topic, if you are interested in learning more about how you can organize your workplace, please leave me a comment. I would be happy to answer it. I think I'm going to go into more of a standardization conversation because I think as a leader, that's really, really important. And I think everybody is a leader, right? I'm not talking about just a leader of an organization. If you're an individual here, you're the leader of your life, right? And so the first person you're ever going to lead is yourself. So you're already a leader just in that. And so I think I'm going to do another training that talks really about standardization because a lot of people are not able to duplicate themselves because they have no process. So they're not able to give what they do to somebody else because they themselves are not organized. So I think we'll do another training on that. But this is it for now. Please leave me a comment, a like, and a share. Thank you so much. And everybody have a wonderful day. Goodbye.